Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to kind of Shin Megami Tensei Network podcast slash impressions video. I am your host for this week's discussion of Persona 3 Portable and Persona 4 Golden on modern consoles, Spencer Presley. Joining me are half of the game and half of the explain, Mr. Macca, otherwise known as Give Us a Break of That Kit Kat Macca. How's it going, Mac?
Boo.
I know that was a bad one.
Yeah. It's going okay.
How's the laundry? That's what I want to know.
Like
How's the laundry tonight treating you?
What'd you say? I was doing a stupid joke.
I said, well, I was going worse. I said, how's the laundry? That's what everyone wants to know. Well, that's why we're here. The audiences are dying for the laundry
my
update.
laundry's going all right.
Thank God.
It's going all right. It's still wet as shit.
I just want this to be a reminder, because I'm sure there will be at least one person in the comments who's like, thanks for asking about laundry. I've now been motivated to finally put those clothes away. Because I think we all get to that phase in our life of like, we do laundry, but we're not really putting the clothes away, you know? Where I think...
Usually when the laundry is done in the dryer, it kind of sits there for like a day.
There you go. Yeah, this part of the podcast and video is just in a direct attack to all those people, myself included, to just put those clean clothes away finally.
Mm-hmm.
But you know someone I bet who always puts his clothes away on time? The other half of this show, Mr. Riku. How's it going?
Yes, I'm good. I just spoke like 20 seconds ago. I probably should have waited, but I'm good. I'm pretty good. Can't complain.
We're not one of those weirdos. I never understand podcasts who are like the guests cannot talk until they've been introduced. Because like I remember like I listened to the 8-4 podcast and it's really funny that's kind of their rule. Like they've sometimes gone like 20 minutes without introducing the guest. And I'm like, I can't imagine just sitting there for that long and be like,
just sitting there.
They haven't said my name. I can't talk yet.
Yeah, I think I would have left at that point.
Oh yeah, I mean, usually those shows are like 6 or 7 people deep, so I kind of understand it a little bit more, but it is just one of those it's one of those weird ones. But thankfully this is not a 6 or 7 man deep video. This is just going to be us talking about the latest hotness, and the reason I'm kind of like weirdly calling this the podcast slash impressions video is this lined up perfectly and awful for me at the exact same time. So I'll probably end up like just unofficially calling this like link 299 and a half, because I have episode 300 all done, but it is not about this, and it is very perfectly themed to the number 30 with another 0, and I was like, well, I can't not talk about this game. So we're just going to kind of give this one a weird little like special spot with it. And I mean, hey, I think this is kind of a big deal release, but like I kind of want to like this up before we start talking about the games. Before we all got our hands on Persona 3 and Persona 4 again on modern platforms, where were you guys at mentally with these ports? Were we like, oh man, I can't wait? Were we like, oh, I'll play it when I get it? Like I'm counting down the days. Like where were we all at with this?
So I was excited for Persona 4 mainly because that's my favorite Persona game. It was going to be the cheapest, and I wanted to get it on Switch because it would be similar to how I played on the Vita originally. So that was the one I was looking forward to the most. With Persona 3, like I am decently excited for it. I hadn't played it ever, like fully all the way through. So this will be a kind of a first time experience for me too, and I'll get that on Switch as well.
Mm-hmm. Mac, what about you?
So for me, with Persona 4 Golden, I wasn't like super excited because I already have Golden on my PC. But I mean, it is still cool that you could like bring it around and stuff. P3P, that was the one that's like, I think is the more interesting of the pair because, you know, Golden is, you know, available. It's been available for a while, at least on PC for a few years at this point. Whereas Portable, there just hasn't been any version of Persona 3 at all in years. And not only that, but this was a remaster. This would be the first like HD like remaster version of it. But then if they ended up choosing Portable instead of FES or anything. So I was interested, but I was also still kind of like hesitant because it's like, oh, it's Portable. That's a little disappointing. But I was still like interested to see what they would do with it.
Now, for me, it was a weird one of like I don't know if I'm like probably the least excited out of all of us because like here's my weird one. My preferred way to play these, even after now these current ports, is still portably on my Vita. Like none of these ports have like gotten rid of why the Vita was cool to me of like or the PSP version for portable. But it is interesting of like it's just similarly with when P5R came out last October. It's just a really good port. They're both really solid ports, and I'm glad they exist. I'm glad nothing fucked up with them. But at the same time, nothing was added to them in a way that really makes me kind of act like, oh, this is like a deal breaker. So outside of now being able to stream them and get trophies, it was kind of one of those things of like, okay, cool, you did your job. I'm glad you did your job well. I can easily recommend these to anybody. I think the price for both is super, super fair. I would say, if anything, it's almost kind of weird pricing P3 the same price as P4, but then also at the same time, it's mostly only weird because like at this point, the the PC version of Golden is almost 2.5 years old. So it's kind of like, it almost feels like you're just getting an older port as opposed to like, because at least for me, like, I don't know, portable feels new because like you said, we haven't played portable or any version of P3 on modern hardware in so long, whereas Golden doesn't really have that wow effect on me just because it has gotten ported more recently. Does that kind of make sense? Like this sort of feels like a new game release tied to a new port.
Yes.
Still though, like I said, I can't recommend them enough. I'm glad there's no incredibly glaring issues with it of everything I've done. And kind of going into our introduction of what we've played and where we're at with everything, I cannot tell you how hilariously funny and weird it is to me of playing Persona 5 Royal on an Xbox felt hilarious. Playing Persona 4 and Persona 3 Portable specifically on a Xbox Series X, it feels like this is like one of those weird moments in where like you like emulate something and you're like, I shouldn't be playing this, but then you realize like, nope, this is a normal port. So I'll go first really quick because I probably have played the least out of everything, but I've been divvying my time into both games and also mostly waiting for PlayStation code. Or just at this point, the game to come out. Persona 3 Portable and 4 Golden, I've only played on Series X. 3, I have made it up to... I don't know which one would be technically considered farther. I just got Ken into my party. So without getting too much into spoilers, which, by the way, we won't be getting into story stuff with really either of the games, but Ken has just joined my party... And in Golden, I am all the way up to, I guess, the 8-bit dungeon is the best way to describe it without doing story spoilers. Of like you'll know when you get there. That's where I'm at for Golden. Super enjoyed both. I've had no technical issues. No like weird fonts or like crashes on my end. Hours wise, I'd have no idea how many both are in there, but it's definitely been way more playing than like reading the story. But Riku, what about you? How far are you, and what have you been playing?
So Persona 4 Golden is the one I've got, and I'm around basically the same area that you are with the 8-bit dungeon. Performance-wise, so I'm playing on Switch. It is really, really smooth. It's 60 FPS pretty much, I think, all the time. I don't have like a frame rate counter, but I can generally tell by looking at the screen. Way smoother than like any other version I've played, which is just incredible. So no complaints there. The game looks good in handheld. It's sharp. It looks good in dock mode. It's sharp. It looks perfectly fine. Yeah, that's pretty much all I'd say. The game is like perfect, honestly, on Switch. There's like no shortcomings that I can think of. I will say though, it's kind of funny like trying to do the, what is it called when you call for help, right?
The online mode, like where you call for people.
That button.
Yeah, and nobody helps.
Thieves
go for P4.
Yeah. Oh my God. What is that called?
The P4 equivalent. I can only think of what P5 called it.
It's like Shadow Rescue or something.
Something Pox. I can't remember. It was weird.
No, it's
Or
called no, no.
sorry.
Actually, the more I think about it, it has been retroactively renamed to the Thieves Guild because everything is Persona 5 centered now,
How dare
according to
you?
the mainstream
How
media's.
dare you?
They should do that. They
Haha.
should change it to Thieves Guild.
It might actually just be called the SOS feature. But
Oh
yeah.
yeah, it does say SOS, 100%.
Yeah,
I can't
so
remember what
it's the
officially
SOS
called.
thing, because the only real online stuff for Golden is SOS in dungeons, where, yeah, you call someone and they can give you health, as well as the voice, which kind of tells you, like, what people are
Yeah,
doing.
yeah. I got to the point where like I get no data, which is really funny to me.
Well, I mean, well, here, Mac, I want to see hear how far you are and what you've been playing, and then that actually does kind of lead into an interesting question. I'm curious, as all of us are kind of content creators and stuff, how we feel about this. But Mac, what are you playing? Where are you playing, and how far are you?
So, I play it on Switch, and surprisingly, it runs like crap. It's awful. It's heavily pixelated. It runs at like 2 frames per second. But that makes sense because P3P is definitely going to be the most demanding of these games.
This joke would have
No,
landed so much harder if you had said you were playing P3P, but it just sounded like you were just playing something.
Oh yeah, yeah. But no, it runs perfectly. It performance-wise, it's perfect. It is a locked 60. It is. There's no like it's a PSP game. Like, come on. If it's one of those things where if it didn't run perfectly, that would just be embarrassing. However, I
Yeah.
will say with the whole pixelated thing, that's a different story. But yeah, no, it runs perfectly. I am honestly, funnily enough, I'm at the same point you are, so we're all just kind of.
Yo, really? That's so funny.
Yeah,
Like, we have not talked
go.
about, we've not really talked about it, like, where we're at. That's really funny. We're all at the same point.
No, like, just straight up, I was like, I'm gonna play like half the game or around that, and I feel like that'll be enough footage. And that, yeah, no, August is typically around like the halfway point, typically.
That's really funny. Now, because you're playing on Switch, I'm curious about this, because on Xbox, I'm just outputting in 4K, and obviously the pixel backgrounds and stuff and other aspects we'll talk about. How's the character assets looking for you in terms of the 2D ones and the movies when they do play? Because I will say, when I booted up the opening movie, I was genuinely shocked that they have straight up the opening to P3P in 4K.
So, in terms of like the character portraits, I assume that's what you meant.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Character portraits, I think they look good. I think they look fine. You could probably like look closer and find some imperfections, but for the most part, I thought they looked fine. My problem is more so with just the backgrounds. I think the backgrounds are rough.
See, it's funny you're saying that because, well, I guess here, are you playing mostly on portable or docked?
I'm playing it on TV.
Okay, so I think on portable you're going to notice that way less. Like, I think it probably does less of a, like, more of a disservice because you're playing, I'm assuming, a 720p displayed game on, like, a 4K monitor or something.
Yeah.
So, like, it looks bad, like, by only, I would say, comparison of everything else, but I think you're probably looking at the smudgiest version. So,
Oh, absolutely. I, honestly, I even mentioned in my review that I did play a little bit in handheld just to test it out, and it was a lot easier to ignore these things.
yeah, because, like, the whole thing with why this is only a problem in P3P is because when you're, and this is, at least for me, I'm assuming you're only meaning during the visual novel segments when you're going around the world, right? Like, I wouldn't really call the dungeons in P3P, like, super smudgy looking. Like, they looked better.
The dungeons look fine. It's basically, if it's 2D, that's where the iffiness comes in.
Well, see, this is why it gets, like, especially, like, weird and, like, a little funny, like, how they haven't actually had more gameplay put out about it, but, like, it's not even that the 2D part, it's the pre-rendered stuff that's 2D that looks bad. Because all of that, they don't have any, like, they either didn't want to give the original assets to, and I'd be curious to ask, like, the devs who worked on it and stuff, like, now that the game is almost out, because we're in a similar situation with, did you guys play the Resident Evil GameCube remake when that came out on, like, HD consoles?
Yeah.
Nah, I didn't
So
have a
like
GameCube back then.
this is the
I'm
same
like,
problem as that. Like when you have these older games that were using pre-rendered graphics at the time, they were like, all right, I'm displaying this on a 240p screen, especially at the PSP. Like we're displaying these, like we gotta save as much memory space as we can as possible. So we're going to make all these backgrounds when you're exploring the world instead of walkable 3D environments. We're going to take a snapshot of an overhead view, and they're going to be way tinier and save a ton more memory. But then you get to that problem now when you play this game either emulated or in these new ports, where it sticks out like a sore thumb because not only are these pre-rendered assets just basic AI upscaled, they still very clearly look like something that was like a screenshot from a PSP next to a bunch of assets because the HUD is now all in HD. The character portraits are now in HD. Your cursor is more HD than the rest of the world around it. So I think just the juxtaposition, it is probably going to take some getting used to for some people, but I think, at least for me while playing it, because Persona 3 Portable is basically half visual novel, half RPG, I kind of gave it the benefit of the doubt, whereas like if it was a game where we were walking around and moving, I think it would be even more jarring, but at least for me didn't detract away from that initial kind of, woof, this is rough looking.
yeah,
No,
it's awkward. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's just, it's rough looking. I think it to a degree, there are certain areas where it looks like they just put the pre-rendered image into the upscaler, and then they just didn't bother to, go back in and fix up any imperfections. So there are some screens that I think where like the background looks fine, the pre-rendered thing looks fine, and then there are some that just look like AI. For me, I think probably the biggest offender was probably Port Island Station.
Oh yeah, that one does look extra
God.
chunky.
The movie posters looked horrid. The art room. Oh my God, the art room was bad. But yeah, it's the kind of thing where it's like there's really not. I feel like I can't say too much because I feel like that's all I could really say. It looks bad.
But I guess then my question for you then, but like I said, after the first initial kind of like feeling for me, was it something that still sticks out to you? Like, oh my God, this is so visually like downgraded, I'm losing the experience, or like were you still finding yourself wrapped up while playing it? Like, was it so distracting that it took away from your overall experience of playing Portable?
No, it was honestly, the more I played it, the areas, it was honestly like when I got to an area, there was that initial shock of like, oh, this looks bad. If it looked bad, there was that initial shock. But the more I played, the more I got used to it, and it didn't really detract from the experience at that point, but it was still just a glaring issue. But otherwise, yeah, no, it didn't like bring the whole thing down. I feel like this is probably still the best way to specifically play P3. But it's just that there's just that initial shock, and it's like this really should have been better.
I'm curious to see a couple of things. Also, not that it makes much of a difference for me. By the way, I played the few bits, well, not the few bits, but the parts of Portable I have played. I actually did the male character. Are you doing Femc or male protagonist?
I did male protagonist, and then I went in and I played a couple of hours of Femc.
Mm-hmm. So, I think with the HD thing, so I can confirm all the art in the background is all just AI upscaled. That's all stuff, that none of that is directly from Atlas. A lot of the 2D art is from them, though. Mm-hmm. My question, and then is kind of like, is something that we went back and said a lot with Nocturne HD. I just don't know, like, they have, or they should have, all of these original pre-rendered files uncompressed. And it is one of those weird ones of like, I can't think of any reason they wouldn't do it, And outside of just like, well, maybe it was a time issue, and then you realize like these ports they've been working on them for almost 3 years, so it's like this clearly wasn't like a rushed job. It was maybe just one of those things that maybe they were like, do they just think no one cares?
I think, I have grown to hate saying this about game development because like there's nothing about game development that is lazy, but it feels lazy. It feels like this was just the easiest option.
Mac, I always think of that terrible, and Riku, please tell me you remember this too, that terrible commercial for like Full Sail University of, guys, we gotta tighten up the graphics on level 3. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tighten up the graphics.
One of the most possibly insulting ways to just dumb down game development. Gotta tighten up those graphics.
Yeah, here, let me just up the slider. Let me up the graphics slider. It will look better.
But no, I would say that's not... I don't think you're being mean by calling it lazy. I mean, remember, the whole reason we're getting portable is not because this is Atlus's way of saying it's the definitive version. It was just the easiest version to port.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I know there's a million reasons. There's a lot of like solid arguments and that support picking portable over FES, but I kind of wish they went with FES, if only because it would naturally require them to put in more effort, and it would be harder for them to be lazy.
I wonder, what is there a chance, do you think, of them still just at some point in like a year or two from now, just doing an HD port like Golden for FES and just triple dipping?
Dang, I don't know.
I'm gonna say no.
I'm gonna say no too.
I feel like they just wanted to set portable up as like, okay, now we can just port this ad infinitum.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if they were gonna do FES, they would just do FES. And not only that, but people, in terms of like the bonus content in each version or the added content in the two versions, Portable's added content is way better received on the whole.
Oh, for sure.
And not only that, but also they can milk Femsy.
I have a weird, like, I guess kind of insider-y tip, because I don't think anyone's reported on this yet, but I recently discovered, guess who has been trying to get Apple to port these games to their platform?
Apple
Arcade. And I was thinking about this, of like, I don't know if I would want to play Golden, but like, honestly, you could make a really touch-friendly version of Portable on iPhone.
The only probably like weird part would be, you know, running around in Tartarus. But like everything else, you could 100% do pretty easily.
I'm thinking even Tartarus, like zoom it out a little bit more and just make that like a drag and like touch, like drag your character around to move kind of thing would be pretty easy.
Yeah.
But
no, you're right. You could do that. P4G would be more difficult because that's more of like a.
There's a lot more going on. There's a lot more moving. There'd be a lot more of that ugly virtual keyboard thing. But yeah, I recently was talking to somebody, and it was like, yeah, Apple has been trying to be like, hey, how can we get Persona back on or not Persona specifically, but like Atlas stuff back on the iTunes store, because Apple has been very like people probably don't follow Apple Arcade very much, especially if you're not in the Apple ecosystem, but like they really like try and push like getting as many of those exclusives as possible. And I'm like, I feel like, especially after playing it, I'm like, oh yeah, like I wouldn't want to play this on my phone, but I bet a lot of people, if it was already just part of a subscription service, would definitely fuck with this.
You could do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be a great idea. Like I have an iPad and I've been looking for more stuff to play on here, and I think I would play like something like Persona 4 on there.
Okay, Riku, you've got to play, because I know you don't have Apple Arcade. Just get a trial and check out Fantasia. It's so beautiful. It is so beautiful.
Yeah, we'll see.
Mac, have you seen this? It's the Mistwalker Apple Arcade RPG.
I have. That game upsets me because I want it, but I don't want it on my phone.
It's gonna come to consoles, but like that's one of like, that was a game Apple straight up just paid like Mistwalker to make for them. So like that makes sense why it's been exclusive for so long.
Before you get away from it, but also like this, just quick thing about Miss Walker. There was in their like New Year's comment thing. They'd hinted at like, oh, they're striving out with a new like big scale game, and I just screamed, please be console.
Listen, you can be big on iPad. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but I don't want them to be big on iPad.
Exclusive to the Mac.
I'm gonna scream.
Yeah, I feel you.
Last story.
Just the idea of an Apple exclusive is really funny to me.
So Ricky, with our talk about P3P so far, has it dictated where you think you want to play portable? Do you think you'd still want to stick with Switch, PC, just say F it and play it on Game Pass? Like, do you think you're going to stick with the Switch on both of them, or like, where do you think you're going to want to try and play portable at?
Easily Switch. I don't even have an Xbox anymore, so and I have a PC, but Game Pass just I'm good right now. It's easily going to be the Switch version, just so I can have them both on the same platform, and like the portability. I don't think I'd be sacrificing much in terms of like obviously resolution, performance, playing it on Switch. So that's just a no-brainer for me.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this because I haven't seen it in person. Mac, you've got an OLED, right?
I do not know.
Shit, Riku, do you have an OLED?
Model.
No, I have the 2017.
Dang,
OG
I was
model.
just thinking like because like I literally just played some Golden on my Vita recently, and I was like, man, the OLED screen really does make this game look nice. And I was like, I really hope that still translates to both. Playing on like the Switch OLED and stuff for, because like it is one of those weird ones of like you do sound like a screen snob, but I would say the best way to play both of these games, if you don't care about price and you don't really care about graphics, I think at least would be handheld OLED for sure. But I mean, honestly, even that being said, if you have a Switch Lite, you're not going to be caring about how these games look. They're going to run great, and they're going to like they're not going to be battery hogs. Like, I think there's really no wrong place to play this, and that's the nice thing, because the problem when we had those Persona 5 Royal ports last year was they were all great ports, but technically the Switch version was the only one stuck at like 30 FPS. So like I will say, because kind of bouncing back from the like lazy dev comment, I will say good on them for at least making every single port of this game on par with each other. There's no benefit to playing this on Switch over Xbox over PC outside of like the obvious things like mods and stuff. I will say, as one of the few people who have been playing both of these games on a platform with achievements, it is extremely weird finally having achievements in Persona 3 Portable.
What are the achievements?
It's pretty standard. The only one I could see being a little contentious with people, you do have to do both playthroughs. So you will have to beat the game if you want all achievements. You will have to play through the male route and the female route. You will need to get all personas, although there's really not that many in 3. And you will have to get all social links maxed out. But it's not all social links maxed out in a playthrough. I think it is just mostly just get them all done. So it is thankfully much better than Persona 4 Golden, because unfortunately, I really wish they would have honed the trophy list for Golden, because I love Persona 4 Golden, but it has an awful trophy list. Like, the hardcore Reset fan has to be one of the worst trophies in RPG history. Do you guys remember this trophy?
Which one does that require? Like, what do you have to do?
It is, you have to hear every unique dialogue of Risei through in a single playthrough. So you have to hear her say every bit of unique dialogue in the entire game, from battles to commenting on specific enemies, specific attacks, specific situations, specific party member setups. You have to hear every bit of dialogue she says in the game, and is one of the most missable trophies. And there's like, because like, I think there's a way to do that trophy of like, hey, have Risei say 100 bits of unique dialogue. But like, I'll look it up, but like, she has hundreds of lines. It's incredibly hard to track without just having a sheet up in front of you.
Laura Bailey making that good cash.
Oh yeah, she gets paid by the trophy too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think most fans are really going to care about that too much with it. But yeah, literally, first I looked up the trophy without saying anything else, and the first thing that comes up is a GameFAQs spreadsheet. Here's your ultimate spreadsheet just for this one trophy.
Mm.
But yeah, it is it is actively ridiculous how much stuff there is in the game. But trophy lists are fine. 3, thankfully, is much better than 4. I guess actually we could talk a little bit about quality of life stuff out of curiosity. Did you guys find yourself using quick save? Because at least for me, with Xbox, I didn't really need to use it because I have quick resume, and on Switch, I feel like you would probably, unless you're someone who's switching to a lot of games a lot. Like, did you guys find yourself using the quick save feature very much?
No, I barely used it, like barely.
I did not use it.
Were there any quality of life features on either game you were hoping to have seen added?
Honestly, nothing that's coming to mind.
Yeah, same. Nothing really. The game's already like accessible and easy enough for me personally.
I've got 2, and I'm curious what you guys think. One is a little bit more easy to implement than the other. So with Golden, they added a feature that lets you go through and like play events with social links or cutscenes and things like that, in-game cutscenes like that. I don't know why that wasn't available in 3. I'm kind of surprised about that.
No, that was something that I thought about after you I thought about it after you started talking. So I'm glad you said it, because I did at one point think, like, why didn't... It would be nice that they could, include cutscenes and stuff.
That to me seems though like something that could easily be patched in, thankfully. Like, if they did want to put it in there. And also at the same time, not... Like, that's not a new feature I've seen anyone talking about for Persona 4 Golden. So, like, I almost wonder if they kind of are just kind of putting that in there to see if people even use it or care about it.
Mm.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think it'd be really useful, because like when I played Persona 5 on PlayStation, I would like record the ones that I liked that were like funny to me, but on the Switch it's just 30-second clips, so that's not really something you can do on there. So that's a really nice addition.
It's also maximum 1,000 videos, regardless of your how much space you have.
Dude, I freaking hate that. I have a 400 gigabyte card. I should be able to fill that up entirely.
I did not realize there was a 1,000 cutoff limit. I feel like that's something, Mac, you probably discovered playing Xenoblade. Am I wrong?
No, that's something that I discovered before playing Xenoblade 3. And it has me upset because I can't record anything in Xenoblade 3.
Just delete stuff. Get some stuff out of there.
I have. That's the sad part.
I spent like half an hour like mass deleting a lot of stuff just to get down to like 6,000. Because after 10,000, it just doesn't let you. It's so stupid.
That's so funny.
Like, why is it limited like this?
Nintendo.
Nintendo.
No, I genuinely have no answer for that. It must be like a allocated amount of space or something that's like fixed or something like that.
Other feature that, again, this one I think to me way harder to implement, but I think leads into not a bigger problem in a negative way, but something that is definitely strange about this release and the timing. Anything of just like a Thieves' Den would have been so nice, even if it was just a menu-based thing. So Persona 4 Golden already had it with the Midnight Channel TV screen stuff, but I would have loved to have just throw in some more art. Throw in maybe clips from the movies, from Persona 3, throw in, like, even just to shut people up. Just throw in just all the cutscenes from the answer if you beat the game or something like that. Of just, like,
Throw in the anime scenes.
Oh yeah, again, doing that. Like, those honestly could have been implemented so easily into the base game, but like, even if you didn't want to code them into the game, like, having this little bonus feature would have been so nice, of like showing off concept art, showing off movies, showing off things that couldn't have fit into Portable originally. And like, I don't know of anyone who wouldn't want this stuff to be there. But then here's another one that I feel like not a lot of people have talked about. This feels like the weirdest thing that is ending the Persona 25th anniversary celebration, because honestly, these two games don't really feel like they're tied into the anniversary at all. Like, they just kind of feel like they're just being released randomly in January. Like, do these releases really feel like the culmination of the 25th anniversary to you guys at all?
No, these feel like they're just being thrown out.
Yeah, they already announced them. That should have been the event there, the big one for them. But then they made it 2 separate announcements, so it's a little awkward.
Why did Nintendo? Why did they announce all of it at Xbox and then wait a day to announce it for Nintendo? That I'm still baffled by.
No. Remember, they waited. They announced it at Xbox. 2 days later, it was then announced for PlayStation, and then 2 weeks after that was Nintendo.
Yeah, no, why do that? I mean, I know it's not them, but it's still just like, why?
It's money. It's all different marketing deals.
So stupid.
It is really stupid and stuff with it. But I again, kind of going back to like what I said at the beginning, I think most people are going to enjoy this. Actually, I almost forgot. This was something I was going to bring up earlier on. I don't know why this is a thing, but at least in terms of the West, Atlas West has been weirdly candid and not giving a lot of codes out for this game. So here's my question.
Yeah.
Why are they being so strict with these two games? Like, Persona 5 handed out to anybody. Soul Hackers 2 handed them out to anybody. But, like, the only reason I have a code for this game is because I have a friend who just straight up did not need and want a Xbox code for coverage. So it was one of those things like that of, like, you guys are literally the only one of my content friends I know who have the game besides me.
Yeah, like if it wasn't for Game Explain, we wouldn't be playing these.
So
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have got it from like the website that you have to request codes from. There's no way I would have been able to get it from there. Yeah, move it.
Yeah, so I was curious over, like, how do you guys, like, not, I guess, like, how do we feel about that? Why do we think that is? Because I've just straight up asked them, we're like, it can't be that they're limited on codes. But then at the same time, there's also no reason for them to be so secretive with this release because there's literally nothing new in it, you know? So I was curious, like, what do you guys think is kind of the reason? Like, is it just, like, timing, platforms? Like, I really don't get it at all.
I don't know. I have a cynical joke answer that I don't think is it, but it leans more into cynicism.
Lay it on me.
Yeah, I want to.
They don't want people finding out about how ugly the backgrounds are.
That I at least know is not true because I know this is not the situation in Japan. Ironically, because I remember I was talking to Faz about this.
He was asking me about it too because he saw I was playing it on my Switch.
Oh, okay.
On my Switch.
So I was talking to Faz about this because codes technically went out as early as before Christmas. I know this. Yeah. I don't know what.
Game since last year.
Yeah, so I don't know. I forgot. When did you guys get codes? Was it pre or post Christmas?
It was definitely before.
Okay,
hold on. Give me a second.
So the offer was before Christmas.
Okay, yeah. So like this was not like codes were coming in hot. Like, the game's been done, and it's been ready, and it's been everything, like, through certain stuff, like, well before Christmas. So it was one of those funny things that I remember Faz was asking about, when do you think codes can go out? And I was like, I know Atlas Japan is handing out codes to press around a certain date, and I was letting him know that. But it was one of those things of, like, I just assumed, oh, maybe Atlas West is all off on the holidays, and they're not doing anything. But, like, we're recording this the day before embargo, and, like, right now, anyone out there, everyone I've been told, like, even, like, our friends who have a much larger fan base than us online, everyone I know is just getting a code on launch. And it's like, why?
What's the point at that point, I guess? I don't know. Like, just the video after?
No clue. And it's one of those things where it's like, it clearly isn't because they're worried about spoilers coming out, because like they recently came out and they were like, hey guys, there's no media restrictions on this. You can stream the whole game for both games. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. So then it just kind of goes into itself of like, so then why are we being... Like, because even this, I'm kind of surprised that the review embargo was so close to release. Like, normally Atlas likes to at least do like a week or two ahead of time in advance. And I mean, I could kind of see them not wanting to do it so close to New Year's. But like... This is... I want to be wrong, but I think like this is going to be how the media covers this game. We will get reviews on Tuesday. They will be in the 7s to 8s for both. Fans will play it on Thursday, enjoy it through the weekend, complain on Monday or so about maybe a problem or two, and then we're not going to hear anyone outside of our general fan base talk about it after that week.
I kind of agree. If this feels like it's going to drop, and then people are just going to forget about it.
Riku,
It'll just be
you?
like, oh, I want to play P3. Okay, that.
Yeah, pretty much. Riku, what about you?
I think I agree with that. It's kind of sad as it is, but I mean, it's whatever. It's fine. At least the games are here. That's all I care.
I mean, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, what matters is the games are here and they're not a trash port. Not to get too
accessible at all is awesome. P3 has literally been like unplayable, or easily accessible rather. It hasn't been easily accessible in like 7.
I would say actually more important than easily accessible, cheap. It has been cheap. It is now cheaply accessible. Yes. Is even the better part.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also, thank God, nature is finally healing. Copies of Persona 3 Portable may hopefully finally go under $100 on the PSP, so that'll be nice too. Not to get too spoilery, because we were talking about scores and stuff. Like I said, I'm myself kind of in the... With both of these ports, I would say... And remember, I'm reviewing the ports. I'm not reviewing the games. I would just say, at least for myself, I'm sticking like in the 8 category of great... There was more I'd like to have been done, but there's nothing wrong with what's here. Blah blah blah. For you guys, like how did you guys end up reviewing? I always forget whatever the Game Explain review score is, but where did you guys land on score wise?
Yeah, it's like a hate to mind blowing, like it's a like it sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You go ahead.
I gave mine love because like. It's just like it's basically what I wanted, which was like a portable version of the game that like runs better than the Vita version and looks great and is on the Switch and I can go TV and all that stuff. And I don't know, I didn't have like any complaints at all, basically. Like obviously like visually the game like it's a little dated, but like it's still a great game and everything that I loved about it is still there. So it's just like a perfect port. I honestly think it's like a perfect Switch game, low-key.
Mac, how about you?
So I gave it a like, and a lot of that is based off of, one, the actual remaster itself is not great, as I've made it perfectly clear by this point. But then also like just some of like the dated aspects of P3 that are inherent to the game, and how just like. There's some things that it's like, oh, this is kind of boring, or oh, this is tedious, or whatever. And then also just a certain level of like, there's still a part of me that's bummed that they went with portable over FES, just purely because of the the quote unquote worst presentation. I know it's going to be a personal preference thing, but it's the kind of thing where it's like I really wish that I could see the version of this game that was what they originally intended. I wish I could see that remastered. So I gave it a like ultimately.
Yeah, and I think that baggage is always going to hold over portable and this release, just because there are always going to be those people on every camp of a re-release that changes things drastically. Even Golden. There are people out there who like, incredibly prefer the PS2 version of Persona 4 over Golden, but I think the changes Golden makes it a lot more kind of universally agreed upon is like, hey, this is just the overall better experience of it. It looks better, plays better, has more content, blah, blah, blah. Whereas, yeah, with Persona, this version of portable it's not going to change anyone's mind who thinks Fez is better. It just is not. It's that thing of it's making it available, and like this will just, if anything, make portable the more well-known version, like Golden has been for Persona 4 all of these years. Because really, when you look at Persona 3, Fez, and Portable released pretty close to each other within about 5 years of like. It's pretty, I would say, in my opinion, as someone who's been, like, in this community for so long, it's pretty split down the middle of if you like Fez or if you like Portable. Whereas with Golden, I think it's pretty fair for all of us to say most of us only know people who really like Golden, and it's kind of the minority who only like Vanilla. So I think this release is just going to lead to all of those new fans playing Portable for the first time and just being like, well, this is the only version out there. I love it, or I hate it, or blah, blah, blah. So not going to change anyone's mind, but still important that it's out there. Last question I want to try and bring to you guys. Now, with this information, we're coming off of Persona 5 Royals port. We're coming off of Persona 3 and 4's ports. What lessons do we want Atlas to learn with our hypothetical future ports of Persona 1 and the 2 duology?
Well, one, I would like them to learn the lesson of do them at all, please.
Lesson 1, start.
Yeah, start.
Yeah.
No, I'd say... I will say P3. This new version of P3P plays amazingly. It feels great. And I think that is probably the biggest reason why I think this is the best version of P3 to play. So I feel like if the main thing I would say is just make 1 and 2 just smoother experiences. Not necessarily like make it easier or whatever, but just like make things feel better.
Ricky, what about you?
So I haven't played 1 or 2, but yeah, just bring them over, please. Like, it feels like they just almost forget that they exist. And Persona 2, like, I've seen some gameplay of it. I think I could get into that game. I don't know about Persona 1 because that's like, I believe, the first person dungeon crawling, right? If I recall correctly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's a little too dated for me personally, but I could definitely play Persona 2. I like the way the characters look. I like the designs and some of the music track in the game that I haven't heard all the music in the game, but some of the music in that game looks great. So unless they just bring them over, because like it just feels like they forget they exist. And yeah,
I'm gonna say for me, and I actually didn't feel this way until about a month or two ago. Don't be afraid to try and get a little like don't be afraid to open your purse strings a little bit more with these, because I'm not gonna lie, in a post Crisis Core world of holy shit, look at this PSP remaster, these releases look hilariously cheap by comparison of that.
Oh yeah, when I was playing through the game, yeah. I literally, the last game I played before it was Crisis Core Reunion, and I had to like tell myself before I even started that like I cannot, it is unreasonable. It's like I gotta go in this with the right mindset, because I just came off of a really high quality remaster, and now I'm going into something that feels really bare bones.
But it is funny of like, yeah, from that reviewer mindset, it is not fair. But at the same time, I think a lot of people are going to look at it and both go, well, these are both PSP games. What's your excuse? And obviously the excuse is money, but it is one of those things of like, man...
The excuse is one of them is Final Fantasy.
Well, I mean, even something as like similar to like not even comparing it to Crisis Core. Like, look at another like PSP remaster, like I think of something like Type 0, or even similarly to like those sort of games of like, we've not seen a lot of PSP remasters out there, but the ones that we have seen like this, where to the majority of people out there, it looks like a Control-C, Control-V port. Those don't really seem to garner that many new fans outside of like people who are already interested in the series. Because like there are thousands of people out there who have played Persona 4 and 5 and have never played 3 and really, really want to try it. Those fans are going to try it no matter what Atlas released. But again, kind of going back to us feeling like this is definitely going to feel like a release we're not going to talk about a lot a month after it comes out. I would have loved it for this to have kind of felt like a, again, celebration of the series anniversary. Feeling like, it feels like Atlas doesn't even seem that excited about this release. Like, it definitely kind of more seems like, and it's a release, and that's about it. And again, not to beat a dead horse again, but I again genuinely think it is such a disappointment and a miss that this is also digital only. Like, what an incredibly wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
I think this is releasing at a good time, but I think, again, a digital only release is just going to make it even more easily forgettable for people out there who aren't going to see this on a shelf or have wanted a physical version of these games forever ago. But what about you guys?
I was really looking forward to a double pack, or even I just want the physical. I had the physical version of Persona 4 Gold, and I had it. I sold it. I regret that horribly. Years ago. But man, I really wanted to have it on Switch, man. Oh my god, like a double pack would have been just the best thing ever. I don't know. I'm a big physical guy, so I just would have loved to see it. Oh well, maybe they'll do it later. Maybe not.
Oh no, I feel it in my gut. They're gonna Sonic Origins. Well, Sonic Origins is still digital only, so I don't know. I meant actually Sonic Mania, because they did double dip us on Sonic Mania, but Sega's weird, man. Sega does not like to let anyone else publish their games for them, so like it's clearly not going to be like done through another company. But I definitely could see them doing it down the line. But then it also goes back to like, let's look at Ultimax. Like, they never changed their mind on Ultimax. They still have not changed their mind, ironically, on Sonic Origins, which again I don't understand why that was digital only. But Mac, what about you though?
I don't even know. I don't even know. In terms of a physical, they're not. I don't think it's gonna happen.
It only makes me extra sad because I literally had seen mock-ups that this was going to happen. I knew that this was a thing that was going to happen, and the fact that some fucking bigwig at corporate just went, nah, not enough people are gonna care. Just can it. Just fucking sucks. I fucking hate that so much.
Yeah, it's cheaper and easier.
What the real problem is that there's still like 10,000 fucking collector's editions of Persona 5 Royal, and that's the real reason we didn't get it. It's because those didn't sell out.
Well, it is what it is. We'll just deal with it, I guess.
All right, I'll give you guys two last questions before we wrap up. I think we might actually be able to get done with this in an hour, surprisingly, in very unlike me form. I'll give you the easy question first. After playing, since obviously I'm the only one here who's played both, I want to ask both of you, what is the first thing you guys are both most excited to do in the game you have yet to play? So, Mac, what are you most excited to do in 4 Golden? And Riku, what are you most excited to do in Portable?
For me, it's run around in 3D.
You're stuck being in visual novel hell? You don't want to be there anymore?
No, that's just me being mean. No, honestly, it's just the more interesting dungeon aesthetics. That's always kind of been my problem with P3. Is just I was never a big fan of Tartarus, and P4 is just a lot better about that.
Riku?
Yeah, for me, I guess it's just experiencing the story. Like I said, I've only played a little bit at the beginning, and it always had this like really like creepy vibe to it that I was like, dang, this is crazy. But like, this is back when I wasn't like into like Persona like that. I was just trying it out. So I'm looking forward to just giving it a new try and just seeing like why people love this game. Like, this is the one that like changed like the formula of the series. So I feel like if I play Persona 4 and 5, I should play this one at least. The music too. The music. I want to hear like a lot of the battle themes like in context with the story. Like I know what the final boss sounds like. I know what all this stuff, but I want to like hear it all in context with what's going on with the story.
The thing I always tell people on Persona 3's music is if you've never done a full playthrough of Persona 3, important to remember, Persona 3, great music that is repeated about 1 million times by the time you finally beat it. It is hilarious how small the soundtrack is for how good it is. It is a very tiny soundtrack.
It doesn't matter whether you like it or not. Lotus Juice is going to be stuck in your head whether you like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because it won't stop.
You're getting the juice either way, for sure.
He refuses to stop.
Yeah, like the dorm theme and everything. I remember hearing that like the most when my friend was playing it. Every time I'd like open up his Vita, it'd be like, "How is he back at the every single time I open it up?" And it's the same song. So. Yeah.
Work that
body,
work that
there was
body.
a-
Make sure you don't hurt.
There's another thing I was gonna give everybody as a warning leading into it. I was trying to think, but no, I'll ask you guys then the final question. What do we think will sell / review better? Because we guessed on our own kind of like reviews and stuff for it. These are two separate releases. They aren't really they are sold in a bundle, but they will be getting reviewed separately and everything like that. So what do we think is going to either sell better and or review better? I'm gonna say I bet Persona 4 still sells better and also ends up reviewing better just because it is a more modern game. But I do think Persona 3 will be selling mostly due to the fact that people are probably going to buy a bundle. But I am very curious to see kind of how those sales charts are going to look. But what do you guys think?
I think Persona 4 is going to sell the most and review better. I think it's the game that's like probably more, I can't say it without really playing Persona 3 portable like fully, but I feel like it's more approachable because it's not like complete visual novel most of the time, and it's just like 3D backgrounds, and I don't know. I just feel like that one just seems more appealing. But then again, that's kind of like biased because
Honestly, dude,
but you know what I mean.
I'm
right?
dying to know how it's going to do on PC. How 3 is going to do on PC, because 4 is already a known quantity on there. So like I'm wondering like will this chart on Steam at all? And I have no
They're
no
required
clue.
to play it on a laptop, a portable device, a laptop.
I'll say it'll chart the shortest of the 3 games. It will chart, but it will drop off the quickest.
How insulting will it be if Persona 4 Golden recharts higher on Steam than 3 portable at launch?
That'd be really funny.
That'd
That'd be really funny.
But then Mac, what about you for reviews then?
Oh, the same as you guys. I think 4 will review better and it will sell better. I mean, prior to P5, 4 was the poster child for the series. And also just in general, it's the one that visually, not in terms of like graphics, but just in terms of like how the gameplay looks and everything, it's going to be the one that will generally interest people more because it's the one that's most similar to P5.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there are going to be people who played P5 that want to jump into these other games, and they'll see P3P and see how all of like the social sim stuff is, and they'll be like, "Oh, I was hoping I could like run around and stuff." I genuinely think that will hurt it to a degree.
Yeah, that's how I feel, pretty much.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this like hour-long impressions review cast sort of discussion. We literally got to every question. I don't know how I ended up forgetting this one, but I don't think it's going to be much of a conversation, but I figured it's worth bringing up. Did anyone here check out the game in Japanese? Because this now is the first time we get to play both games with Japanese voices if we want. I did not. I went all dub all the way.
I forgot that was a thing.
I didn't really think about it.
It's okay. There's still time to edit the review. Gotta put it in there. New features, Japanese voice acting. cut it, paste it, ship it, export it. It's cool.
I don't know about that.
It's cool that it's there, but yeah, again, for me, these games are just so synonymous with the dubs. I love the dubs so much. But hey, maybe you're someone out there who just goes into a blind, furious rage at the sound of Johnny Young Bosch or
Yuri Lowenthal.
Yuri Lowenthal. I was just trying to think of anybody who was not Vic Mignogna. That was the only. I was like, think of anyone who's not Vic Mignogna to pull.
I will say real quick. Playing P3 all these years later, after the stuff happened.
The stuff.
Man, Junpei holds up and ages poorly.
At the same time, that is true. There's a lot of things with P3's voice acting. You could say that it's like, wow, this is really ahead of its time and incredibly in its time.
Perfect casting.
Yeah, I want to say real quick about the Japanese dubs though. I'm gonna stick with English mainly because like Persona 4 is like the game that I watch. I like watching like eat stuff at the same time. If there's like a long cutscene, and I just like to like halfway pay attention to the screen sometimes and still be able to hear them. I don't know. It's just cool. I don't know. I'm for the English.
I think we need to also.
I will try Japanese.
This needs to be a mandate in games now. If you're a game that is even remotely story heavy and you have a text box for your story, I am legally going to force us all in 2023 and on. You have to have a autoplay story button. Like, when I have games now where, like,
Yes.
I have to click through everything, I'm like, dude, if you're going to have a long cutscene and voice act everything, just let it play out like a movie. It is so strange to me that there are still games where you have to click through everything.
SMT5 had it, but it took too long to advance to the next text.
Well, yeah,
So
that was
frustrating.
mostly a weird thing because of the English dialogue was over quicker than the Japanese one. But yes, I do agree with that one. But yeah, you guys, thank you for joining us on this. Riku, where do you want people to find you online and whatnot? I will have both of your guys' Game Explain reviews linked in the descriptor as well, so people can check them out there. But where else can people find you guys?
Awesome. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. My handle is Katana Riku, same as my YouTube, which is where I make, a variety of content on just games that I'm enjoying. I haven't made a video in like a month, but I'm trying to get back into the process. I took a bit of a break, but I'm trying to get back into it and hopefully get one out within the next like week or two.
MacMan, what about you?
So you can find me on Twitter and Twitch and stuff at JBO Maka, and then on YouTube you can find me at just Maka.
Now, not an actual question, but one that should definitely not be edited out of this. I was thinking about this. Mac, you don't stream a lot, and you mostly do it during the afternoon, but how often, if ever, do you ever stream at nighttime?
Well, that's the thing. Like a year plus ago, I was always streaming at night, and then I just started streaming in the afternoon for some reason.
Now, I don't know how you've never done this. If you ever get back to it, can we try to commission graphics that when you are streaming after, let's say, at least 8 p.m. or later, we can make a custom Jack's Bag of Maca version of the Mac at Night logo from McDonald's, that old adverts from the 80s.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Because I could see like Moonface Man and Maca Man streaming at night being working way too well.
Do it. Draw my avatar. Draw him as Mac the Knight.
Now, Ricky, do not feel completely out of left field. If you don't remember Mac at Night, please let me know now.
I don't remember.
So Mac at Night, you'll remember as being that thing that people used in YouTube hoops a lot of like they'll overdub him, but it was a old McDonald's commercial of just basically a guy, which almost looked like just like guy in a suit with a giant moon for his head, talking with sunglasses. Like, you've probably seen it, but didn't know it was like a McDonald's old ad campaign. But if you look it up, Mac at Night was a very big thing for like a very short amount of time. And that was
I'll do some research.
That was everyone's useless tip for the video. Everybody, if you want to follow more or get more of this, which of course after that Mac at Night talk, who wouldn't? Consider subscribing on the YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on the audio YouTube feed, don't forget, check out the audio podcast on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get shows like that. Also, I gotta start plugging this now. Got no job at the moment. Go to patreon.com/SMTN. Keep me off the streets for the love of all that is holy, or at least till I get a job.
Hey.
So that'll be helpful.
Fun times.
But yes, if you are still having any questions about anything, let us know in the comments below. I will try and answer as many of them as possible, especially because this is going to be going up 2 days before launch. Shout out to Atlas for doing a Thursday Thursday release day. What a weird day to release things on. But hey, January 19th, worldwide release, PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, PC. Check them out. Persona 3 Portable, Persona 4 Golden. Have fun, everybody. Thanks for watching the video. Mac and Riku, thanks for joining me at night. Have a good one, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.